Good morning, everyone. It's Sayward from FindYourDivinity.com. Getting some more content out. That's exciting, huh? Well, it's happening because I've had a lot of people coming to me with similar complaints. So if you're watching this, you may be going through this too. What's going on? Well, I have a number of friends who have reached out to me individually, and they all have sort of similar symptoms. For instance, I had a friend reach out to me and she said, "Sayward, I just need to unload." Okay, go ahead. Well, for the last 2-3 days, I've been feeling super emotional. I just been feeling like I'm so on edge, and I'm having such a hard time keeping it in. And I just want to have a breakdown. I just feel like I'm just gonna fall apart. Okay, well, so I sat there and I sat with it, right? Because this person had said that they just wanted to dump, so really what I should do is just accept that they're dumping. However, it's in my nature, whenever I see somebody that's in need and I feel like I can help, I want to help them. So I said this. I said, well, have you considered just having a breakdown? Have you considered just having a breakdown? And as I said this, I gained some insights that I knew, but like weren't consciously up here. And in doing so, a lot of that came to me. And now I feel like it's important to talk about them. And hopefully this is going to be helpful to you. So, if you are like many of us and you're feeling like overwhelmed and oh my god, I can't keep all this inside, maybe the answer is not to keep it inside, right? Because I've been there so many times. The feeling of like anxiety and just chronic pain especially, and like just feeling so freaking pent up and just trying so hard to hold on to whatever it is so that you don't go crazy, lose it, mental breakdown. Oftentimes it can feel like we're not even in control of ourselves. Like we're literally clawing to keep everything in. To me, this is a sign that your body is full, okay? We talk about like, what's the word? Like shoving it down, okay? When we talk about our feelings, our emotions, our reactions, whatever, a lot of us do not process them immediately, especially if we're worried about the ways that it's going to affect other people. So we just swallow it. We just shove it down, shove it down, shove it down. Well, that does not go away, okay? That does not go away. So if you are placating other people by not fully expressing, feeling, handling, dealing with your emotions, that's gonna come back up. And I feel like that is what the situation of feeling like, oh my god, I'm gonna have a breakdown is, okay? It's your body's way of saying, I'm full, we need to get this out of here. If you notice, if you're still with me and you're like, yep, I'm hearing this. If you notice, when that starts, if you do not just get it out, whichever way that you do, if you try to numb it, if you try to ignore it, if you try to push it away, if you try to distract yourself from it, it continues to get worse. Now, in the moment when you say, oh, I'm feeling this thing from my past, I don't want to feel it, I don't want to think about it, I'm just gonna distract myself doing this thing. In that moment of distraction, it goes. But it does not leave you. Like, this is not an answer. It is a distraction, okay? So, here's the thing. When we're in that state and we keep feeling like, I'm just gonna lose it, I'm just gonna lose my mind, when we feel that, this is our body telling us that it's time to dump, okay? It's time to get this stuff out. So, I really do encourage that if you are resonating and you have been feeling this way, it's time to get it out, okay? If you are feeling this way, it's likely that you don't have just one little thing that's in there that bothers you, and then after that you'll feel wonderful. It's more than likely that you're going to get something up, and something else is going to come up, and then something else is going to come up, and something else is going to come up, okay? A lot of us get to this point, and this is where we struggle in the release. So, something that came to my realization while I was helping this friend is very simple. You have to dump the garbage before you pick through it. Let me say that again. You have to dump the garbage before you can pick through it. All right? So when we get into this release in our heads, a lot of the times our bodies will initiate it. Okay, we'll have a sense of anxiety, we'll have a sense of like tension, and then we feel like we're gonna cry. Okay, and then we start letting the tears go. For a lot of us, it's tears. Sometimes for people, it's like rage. We need to yell. We need to forcibly move our bodies, okay? However it is for you, that's fine so long as you're not hurting anybody with your hurt, okay? Whatever it is, we start that release process, and then our mind then develops what it is. So another common complaint that I get is, well, I feel this way, whatever uncomfortable feeling, but I don't have a reason to, right? I don't know why. What that means is that your brain is not conjuring up what's giving you these feelings, right? So when that happens, we go, well, I don't really have a reason to feel this way, so I'm just not going to feel this way. It doesn't work that way. When we start this release process, our bodies begin the process of getting this out. And what happens is that our minds then most often will trigger, and they will give us an event or something that we said, something that somebody else said, whatever it may be, okay? They'll give us this snippet, usually it's a memory, of a thing that caused us pain, anger, hurt, however you want to put that, all right? Our brains will give us an image of this thing. Well, if we continue the dumping process, our brains are more than likely to go to another thing, and to another thing, and to another thing. And this can be very hurtful if you're trying to process it all while you're doing the dumping. So this is what I mean by you have to dump the garbage before you can pick through it, okay? Because essentially what we're doing is we're putting a cork into this external flow every time that we like stop to ponder and think on that traumatic event, all right? We stop it. Because then, instead of our bodies being in control of letting this out and getting it out, right, we're going, brain goes, nope, stop, we got to think about that, and oh, well, now let's turn in circles on how it could have been, and what I could have said, and what I could have did, and what I should have did, and what they should have did, and what they should have said, and try to reconstruct about how it should have been, and that stops that release flow. So the way that we typically use for like trying to get rid of this, the whole crying a little bit and then thinking about a thing and then just focusing, ruminating on that thing, it feels very much like the show Hoarders. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that or not. Unfortunately, I grew up in a hoarder household, so I saw it firsthand. And it just reminds me so much of it. So if you haven't seen the show, Hoarders is basically like a person who has a house full of stuff. And I don't mean like there's stuff here and there. I mean there's mountains of stuff, and sometimes people can't even walk through it. Like tons and tons, literal tons of stuff, okay? And on the show, and in my firsthand experience, what happens is they'll show a person with all this stuff, and they kind of act like it's not so much of a problem, it doesn't really bother them, but everybody around them is worried for their health, right? So they go through this process of like trying to get rid of stuff, and what happens is that person who has accumulated all of it, let me find something good. Okay. They will, sorry. they'll start the dumping process. Okay, I agree. I'm gonna get rid of some of this stuff because it will be better for me. Okay? That's the first step. But then they find a thing, and instead of going, yep, that sucked, they go, yep, oh God, oh that could, now do I have a use for that? Do I need to keep that? Am I going to be okay if I don't keep this thing? Meanwhile, they're literally in an entire house full up to their eyeballs and stuff. But they focus on this one thing, right? And they're just so focused, hyper-focused on this, that they forget about the mountains of crap behind them. One of the biggest things here is understanding that your body is intelligent. It's not just your brain. This is not the only part where smarts are, okay? Trauma is often stored in our bodies. So our bodies are trying to release this energy to balance themselves, to find homeostasis, and each time that we're trying to stop and think and attribute meaning and stop, that's stopping that flow process, okay? You don't have to have a reason to want to break down. You don't have to have a reason to feel some type of way. You don't have to have a reason to be sad or afraid, or you don't have to have a reason, okay? Think about, if you're still with me, think about trauma. Think about the ways that we interact with things, bad things that have happened to us. Let's take the past because it's easiest to talk about without having like a specific event, okay? Let's think about the past. So something happened in the past, and if you're like me, you don't want to think about it much, right? You don't really want to get into it. So when the brain conjures this thing up and it reminds you of it and you start to think of it, a lot of times we want to be like, nope, let's put up a wall there. I don't want to see that. I don't want to think about that. I'm going to do this other thing. I'm going to do anything but deal with that. Okay? I don't want to feel it. I don't want to think about it. I don't like keep it at arm's length, right? So when we start the trauma dumping and we're starting to get this out of our bodies and we can't think of anything, we don't have a logical, like up here, conscious reason for why that's happening, it's because our walls are working. Do you understand? Like every time that you have that thought about that bad thing and you don't want to think about it and you don't want to, no, you're building up a wall. You're strengthening up your mind's ability to like block that out. All right? It's a protective feature. You're trying to protect yourself from this, but it keeps you from thinking of that thing. So instead of thinking about it coming up, let's process it, let's deal with it, let's get it out of here, it just gets put further back down in the bottle, in the body's bottle, if you will. So when we go to release that, then all of a sudden the body knows what it is, but the brain blanks out. And then we like to give ourselves a reason of like, oh, well, I can't let this out because I don't even know what it is. You don't have to. I just said you don't have to have a reason. You don't have to know what it's about. All you have to know is my body feels like it needs to get something out. I'm going to honor my body and do that. Because, again, what happens when we start to do that is the brain goes, oh, we're in release mode? Oh, okay. Well, here's this thing. And here's this thing. And oh, don't forget about that terrible thing. Oh, what about this thing? Yeah, that was really bad. Oh, here's this thing. Okay? So, the process. Allow yourself to not have a reason. Honor the fact that you feel this way. and begin to work with your body, okay? Find yourself a safe space. Find yourself a place where you can cry, you can scream, you can lay on the floor, you can rock, you can punch a pillow, whatever it is that does it for you, okay? Find yourself that space. Sit with yourself, take a deep breath, and acknowledge your body. Body, you are making me feel like I just want to explode and implode and fall apart and break into a million tiny pieces right now. Let's do it. Honor that. You feel like you're gonna cry? Cry. You feel mad? Channel that anger. But what you do not do is keep trying to think over and fix in your mind the events that happened. Okay? You have to dump the garbage before you pick through it. There is going to be plenty of time when you are feeling much calmer, much more centered and grounded. There's going to be plenty of time for that after you get this out. Okay? You have to get this out. So when your mind, when you're in this process, okay, and I'm crying and I'm upset and it's terrible, and my brain's starting to shoot off things, instead of stopping on that one thing and like trying to pick through it and dig through it, what we're going to do is we're going to say, yep, that sucked. Keep crying. Keep crying. We're not going to focus on it. We're going to acknowledge it, and we're going to continue to release. Another different thing's going to pop up. Another different thing's going to pop up. And so long as we only focus on the one, these things are not going to pop up. They're going to stay stored, okay? Dump the garbage. Trauma dumping does not mean that you're going to forget. Trauma dumping does not mean that it's not there. What it means is that we are now able to get it out of our body and look at it when we are in a rational, safe place. Okay? Do not hinder yourself by focusing on that one thing. Oh my gosh, because I can tell you that this one thing, no matter how big or how small or how insignificant or how important it is, I can promise you that this one thing is not the only thing. And by focusing only on this one thing, you're ignoring all the other stuff that needs to come out too. All right? Above all, know that you're gonna have to do it sooner or later. It's now or later. So you can choose to try to process it now, or you can keep pushing it back and be uncomfortable. The choice is yours. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time here. I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. So if you watch this all the way through, if you would hit that like and subscribe, I would totally appreciate it. I have a lot more thoughts on trauma. I have a lot more thoughts on getting it out. So hopefully I'll be back in the next couple days with some more insights. For now, remember, you gotta get it out before you can pick through it. Bye.